So you're driving down Town Line Road, Route 60 in Vernon Hills, right past the Bears Fit facility, and you glance over to where your favorite neighborhood stakeout used to be, except it's not there anymore. It's just gone, raised, flattened, a pile of rubble where your soup, salad, and filet used to live. And you think, okay, maybe it's parking. Maybe the Bears Fit facility got tired of sharing the parking lot. Maybe somebody just wanted a bigger space to park their Tahoe. Fair enough, this is Lake County, we love our SUVs. But then, a few weeks later, a new building starts going up. Same spot, same footprint, and now you're thinking, wait, what? They tore down a perfectly good building? I mean, it was actually a pretty nice building, just to put up a new one in the exact same place? So, welcome back. I'm going to tell you what happened to Jameson's Charhouse in Vernon Hills, why they demolished a perfectly good building that was barely 5 years old, and what's replacing it. And I'll warn you right now, the answer might make you a little sad, a little hungry, and a little confused all at the same time. Let's pour one out for Jameson's Charhouse. If you never went, I'm sorry for your loss, and I mean that because if you did go, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jameson's Charhouse was a family-owned chain of steakhouses that had been operating in the Chicagoland suburbs since 1990. Run by Jimmy and Spiro Angelos, real family operation, multiple generations deep, they had locations scattered across the burbs: Bloomingdale, Crystal Lake, Huntley, Mount Prospect, Skokie, Woodridge, and in 2020, they opened their newest spot in Vernon Hills right at 151 East Town Line Road off Lakeview Parkway, tucked into the same little development as Bears Fit. Now, the Vernon Hills location was their most recent addition, and I'll be honest with you, I went there probably more than I should have. It was right in my neighborhood, easy to get to, no fuss. You pull in, sit down, and for about $40 to $50, you're getting 3 courses: soup or salad, bread, and listen, the bread was hot and crusty and legitimately good, and then an honest-to-God filet. Not Michelin star filet, but a really solid, well-prepared steak dinner at a price that didn't make you feel like you needed to take out a second mortgage. $50 for a 3-course steak dinner. In this economy, that's practically a public service. And I mean, let's put this into perspective. A McDonald's value meal, and I'm using air quotes you can't see, is because a value meal today is about $15 to $20 for a combo meal. Some people are reporting more than that in certain locations. McDonald's prices have gone up roughly 40% since 2019. So when I say Jameson's was giving you a filet dinner for what amounts to 2 Big Mac meals, you start to realize what kind of value that was. The building itself was nice too, nothing over the top. It wasn't trying to be a Ruth's Chris or something like that. It wasn't trying to be some velvet rope bottle service steakhouse where they charge you $14 for cream spinach. It was just a casual, welcoming neighborhood steakhouse. They even had some big stone double-faced fireplace that kind of anchored the whole room. Warm, inviting. They had a private dining room you could book for events. It was, for lack of a better word, perfect for what it was. And honestly, I can't remember if the building was originally built for Jameson's or repurposed from something else, but it felt almost new. Clean lines, good condition. It wasn't old. It was the kind of place where you'd bring your family, a date, bring your buddies after a workout at Bears Fit, or not, which, by the way, is literally right there in the same parking lot. And the reviews backed it up too. The Vernon Hills location was pulling in some solid ratings, 4+ stars across Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google. People loved the French onion soup. The ribs apparently had a cult following. The Black Angus New York strip was a bestseller. One reviewer literally said they wish they could give it 10 stars. So it's not like this place was struggling for love. And then, sometime around the turn of the year, January 2026, I'm driving by, and the building is gone. I mean, totally gone, demolished, leveled to the ground. If you didn't know Jameson's was there, you'd never know Jameson's was there. My first thought was Bears Fit did this. They're tired of sharing the parking lot. They wanted more space. Case closed. Makes sense. Gyms need parking, especially a big one like that. Bears Fit moved into the old 45,000 square foot Sports Authority space back in 2019. It's a big gym, lots of members, lots of cars. But then I noticed something. A new building was going up in the same spot, taking roughly the same footprint and space. And that's when my curiosity went from casual to obsessive, because here's the thing. Why would you tear down a building that was barely 5 years old, that was in great shape, that could have easily been repurposed by another restaurant or business, only to build a brand new structure in exactly the same location? I've seen some truly terrible buildings get repurposed in this area. I've seen some restaurants move into spaces that had no business being restaurants. I've seen strip mall units that look like they survived a minor earthquake get refreshed by adding a coat of paint and a liquor license, and suddenly they're a Thai fusion bistro. And those buildings are still standing. But this one, clean, modern, practically brand new, got the wrecking ball. So what's going on? Well, I did some digging, and the answer is Raising Cane's. A Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers restaurant is going in at 151 East Town Line Road, Vernon Hills, Illinois, the exact spot where Jameson's Charhouse used to serve you a filet with a fireplace view. Now, if you're still sitting there thinking, what is Raising Cane's? Don't worry, you're not alone. I didn't know either. I'm going to get into that in a second. But first, let me explain why they had to demolish a perfectly good building to make this happen, because that was the part that was driving me crazy. The answer in 2 words: drive-through. Raising Cane's entire business model is built around the drive-through. Nearly 70% of all Raising Cane's sales happen through the drive-through window. It's not a side feature, that's the whole operation. Jameson's Charhouse was a sit-down steakhouse. It had no drive-through lanes, no ordering stations, no pickup windows, no dual-lane canopy setups. It was designed for people who wanted to sit in a chair, eat with a fork, and have a conversation. And that just isn't going to happen anymore. So you can't just slap a drive-through onto a steakhouse. The layout just doesn't work. The traffic flow doesn't work. The building orientation doesn't work. In similar situations around the country, Raising Cane's has done exactly the same thing. Demolish existing restaurant buildings that were perfectly fine structurally, but were the wrong shape, the wrong layout, and didn't support a drive-through configuration. And actually, in Brick Township, New Jersey, they tore down an 8,000 square foot restaurant and replaced it with a building less than half that size, about 3,300 square feet, I think. Specifically because the old building didn't have drive-through lanes. That's what happened here. The Jameson's building wasn't torn down because it was old. It wasn't torn down because it was in bad shape. It was torn down because you can't serve chicken fingers at highway speeds through a window that does not exist. Okay? So, Raising Cane's, for those of you who haven't encountered one yet, here's the deal. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers is a fast food chain that was founded in 1996 by a guy named Todd Graves in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when I say this man was determined, I mean it. He wrote a business plan in college at LSU for a restaurant that only sold chicken fingers. His professor gave him the worst grade in the class. The idea got rejected by every investor he pitched. So what did he do? He went and worked at an oil refinery in California and fished for sockeye salmon in Alaska to raise the money himself. He eventually scraped together enough to renovate an old building near the LSU campus, and the first Raising Cane's opened in August of 1996. The name, it came from his yellow Labrador retriever. The dog's name was Raising Cane. That's the kind of origin story you can't make up. Now, here's what makes Raising Cane's unusual, and honestly kind of fascinating from a business standpoint. They sell one thing: chicken fingers. That's it. That's the menu. Chicken fingers. Crinkle cut fries, Texas toast, coleslaw, and their signature Cane sauce. There's no fish, no burgers, no salads, no breakfast items, no 17 variations of a wrap. It's chicken fingers. This is the whole operation. They literally call it One Love. And you'd think it would be a recipe for a disaster. You'd think at some point people would say, hey, can I get anything else? But no, it turns out if you do one thing really, really well, people will wait in line that wraps around the building for it. The numbers are kind of staggering. Raising Cane's now has over 900 locations. They just passed KFC to become the 3rd largest chicken chain in the United States by sales, behind Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. Their system-wide sales in 2024 were $5.1 billion. The average Raising Cane's location generates about $6.6 million in revenue per year, which is more than double the fast food industry average. Their same-store sales grew over 17% in the first half of 2024, driven almost entirely by traffic, not price increases. And here's the kicker. Almost all of these restaurants are company-owned. Only about 3% are franchised. This is unheard of in fast food. McDonald's franchises 95% of its locations. Chick-fil-A franchises the vast majority of theirs. Raising Cane's said, no, we're going to own and operate almost all of them ourselves. Todd Graves still owns about 90% of the company. His estimated net worth, $11.5 billion from chicken fingers. Let me say that again. The man who got the worst grade in his college class for a chicken finger business plan is now worth $11.5 billion. If that doesn't make you rethink every grade and every piece of recommendation you got from a professor in college, I don't know what will. Now, this Raising Cane's coming to Vernon Hills isn't exactly a smooth process, and this is where it gets interesting from a local perspective. Raising Cane's first approached Vernon Hills village officials about this way back in 2023. That's 3 years ago. Then they finally got the approval, and the pushback from the village was immediate and pretty blunt. The main concern? Traffic. The site sits in the Continental Executive Park Development, sharing a parking lot with the Bears Fit organization. There's no direct traffic signal at the entrance. You're coming in and out of Lakeview Parkway, and if you've ever driven that stretch of Town Line Road during rush hour, you know it's already not the most relaxing experience. The village's community development director flagged concerns about on-site traffic flow and drivers having difficulty getting in and out of the area. One trustee said flat out that he wasn't happy with the spot. The mayor at the time, and this is a direct quote from a board meeting, actually said, "I don't like it. I don't want it. I'd like to have a restaurant, not a Raising Cane with a drive-through," unquote. The property developer tried to explain that he'd talked to multiple full-service restaurants at first, but none of them wanted a freestanding building on a thoroughfare. They all wanted to be at Hawthorne Mall or Melody Farm, so Raising Cane's it was. Over the next 2 years, there were multiple traffic studies, revised site plans, engineering reviews, meeting with traffic consultants and the Lake County Department of Transportation. They brought in speed bumps. They redesigned drive-through lanes. They added signage, crosswalks, do not enter markers, and a right turn pocket to increase stacking capacity. The traffic consultants estimated an average exit delay of about 12 to 14 seconds per vehicle, which they considered acceptable. Finally, in April 2025, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. On May 4th, 2025, the Vernon Hills Village Board approved 3 separate ordinances to make it happen: zoning variations, a special use permit with site and landscape approvals, and sign code variations, all passing unanimously. Construction permits were expected in January 2026, which lines up perfectly with what I saw when the building came down, and now here we are in March 2026 with a new building almost finished. So, let me be straight with you. I'm not mad at Raising Cane's. People love their chicken fingers, apparently. They've clearly figured something out. You don't become an $11 billion company by accident. Their box combo, 4 chicken fingers, fries, Texas toast, coleslaw, cane sauce, and a drink, runs about $12. That's a legit meal. People are obsessed with this sauce. The company literally makes it fresh in the restaurant every single day, and the recipe is a closely guarded secret. But here's what sits with me. We lost a sit-down, family-owned neighborhood steakhouse, one of 7 locations of a chain that's been serving Chicagoland families since 1990, and we replaced it with a national fast food chain that does 70% of its business through a window. We went from a place with a stone fireplace and a private dining room where you could bring your family for a nice dinner and walk out spending $50 on a 3-course steak dinner to a place where you're eating chicken fingers in your car. And I know this is the direction everything is going. The whole restaurant industry has shifted towards drive-through, mobile ordering, convenience, speed. The pandemic accelerated that by about a decade. Full-service restaurants have been struggling. Independent and family-owned spots have been getting squeezed from every direction. Rising food costs, labor shortages, inflation, changing customer habits. Meanwhile, fast food chains with drive-thrus and billion-dollar corporate backing just keep expanding. It's not unique to Vernon Hills. It's happening everywhere. But when it happens in your neighborhood, in my neighborhood, at a place where I actually used to eat, it hits a little different. So if you're driving down Town Line Road and see the new building going up next to Bears Fit, now you know it's a Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers drive-thru coming soon. And if you are a Jameson's Charhouse fan like me, they do still have other locations around Chicagoland: Bloomingdale, Crystal Lake, Huntley, Skokie, Woodridge, and even one in South Carolina. So it's not completely gone, just gone from Vernon Hills. But I'll say this: the next time I'm sitting in a Raising Cane's drive-thru on Town Line Road, waiting for my combo box, which will be probably the first week they open, I'll probably think about that fireplace, the French onion soup, the filet, and I'll wonder if a $12 chicken finger meal is really what we needed more of as I'm sitting there eating it and licking my fingers. Because apparently, it's that good. We'll see. Dreaming of Disney but worried about the cost? Meet Just the Essential Disney Hacks. This compact guide is your ticket to a magical vacation without the villainous price tag. Learn insider tips on saving money on everything from tickets to meals. Discover how to maximize fun while minimizing your expenses. Don't let budget fears keep you from creating unforgettable family memories. Get Just the Essential Disney Hacks today and start planning the Disney trip you've always wanted at a price you can afford.